My name is Tapias. I am an immigration attorney and the CEO of Loigica. My practice focuses on employment-based immigration, H-1B, perm, and long-term workforce planning for U.S. companies. For the 2027 H-1B cap season, the rule of the game has materially changed. The lottery is no longer purely random. Wage strategy now affects selection, and USCIS is scrutinizing employers more closely than ever. In this video, I'll walk you through the key employer risks for this fiscal year 2027 and how H-1B strategy now connects directly to the permanent labor certification and long-term employment planning. Historically, employers treated H-1B as a pure numbers game. They simply registered, hope to get selected, and deal with the compliance matters later. That approach no longer works. For fiscal year 2027, employer readiness, wage decisions, and role structure determine success earlier than most companies realize. Risk number one, weighted H-1B lottery is now law. The most significant change for fiscal year 2027 is that the H-1B cap selection process is now wage weighted. This is no longer a proposal or a signal. It is the governing framework. Each registration still qualifies, but entries are weight-based on the offered wage level. Level 1 receives 1 entry. Level 2 receives 2 entries. Level 3 receives 3 entries. And level 4 receives 4 entries. Higher wage levels now have statistically better odds of selection. That means wage strategy is no longer just about payroll. It directly affects whether the case is selected in the lottery or not. Risk number 2, level 1 wages are now structurally disadvantaged. Level 1 wages are still legal, but under the weighted system, they are no longer neutral. If an employer defaults to level 1 simply to reduce costs, that decision now reduces the probability of selection compared to higher level roles. For fiscal year 2027, employers need to understand that wage level is both a compliance decision and a selection decision. Risk number 3, wage levels must still match reality. At the same time, you cannot simply raise wages to improve odds. USCIS will still examine the job duties, SOC codes, wage level, business structure, and the size. If a role is paid at level 3 or 4, but reads like an entry-level position or the company cannot support that role, operationally, a request for evidence and denial will likely follow. The goal is not the highest wage. The goal is the right wage, defensively supported. Risk number 4, employer control still determines H-1B validity. The weighted lottery does not change a fundamental requirement of the H-1B law. The U.S. employer must control the employment. This is especially important for remote roles or hybrid arrangements or project-based or client-side work. USCIS looks at who supervises the employee, who assigns the work, who controls the day-to-day activity. If control is unclear, the employer-employee relationship itself is questioned, and the case can fail on that basis alone. Risk number 5, payroll ability and business viability. Offering a higher wage also means USCIS expects the employer to actually pay it. Payroll history, revenue, and real business activity matters, particularly for startups and growing companies. This isn't about company size. It's about whether the wage level makes sense given the employer's operational reality. Risk number 6, treating H-1B as a one-year bet. The biggest strategic mistake employers make is treating H-1B as a one-year lottery event. Even under the current framework, that approach creates a risk at every stage: selection, adjudication, and beyond. H-1B now must be viewed as the front end of a longer employment strategy, not a plain standalone filing. The same decisions that affect H-1B selection, such as wage level, job definition, business need, do not disappear after H-1B approval. They follow the case into the permanent labor certification and the green card sponsorship process. That's why employers need to think beyond the March registration. Perm alignment. Why planning early matters. The perm, or the permanent labor certification, involves prevailing wages, recruitment, and Department of Labor review over long timelines. Waiting until an employee is deep into H-1B time to think about the permanent labor certification is increasingly risky. When H-1B and perm are aligned early, employers gain predictable compliance consistency and stronger retention of key talent. For fiscal year 2027, the message is clear. H-1B selection is no longer random. Wage strategy matters, and employer credibility is under the microscope. Companies that integrate H-1B, wage strategy, and the permanent labor certification are the ones well positioned to win in the long term. At Loigica, we help employers build that end-to-end strategy from H-1B registration through the perm and beyond. If your company plans to sponsor foreign professionals this year, now is the time to plan deliberately. Fiscal year 2027 is the year H-1B stopped being a gamble and became a strategy.